Hi everyone, my name is Dylan Haswell from Trident Search, and welcome to another episode of the Trident Talks podcast. I'm joined again by Michelle Eatherton, who is the Chief Business Officer at Liminal. This is the second in a three-part series that we are talking to Liminal on. Last time, I hope you all caught it, but we discussed who Liminal are, what they're trying to achieve, what problems they're solving. And today we are going to be discussing some exciting news for Liminal. So thank you so much for joining me today, Michelle. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, thanks. Good to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to have you back as well. So as I said, exciting news. You guys at Liminal have recently updated and refreshed your Liminal Spaces, the platform that you guys use. Which I guess directly affects your customers' experiences. So I just wondered, I guess, as a first question, what drove you to update the liminal spaces?
Yeah, it's an exciting time. There's so much that's happened over the last year and a half, as we talked about last time. Things are moving at warp speed. We have just relaunched our Liminal Spaces engine. So Liminal Spaces is that direct chat experience that users of the Liminal platform log into, and very much like a chat GPT that I'm sure everybody's used by now. And I think about how we drive our roadmap and how we prioritize what's going to come out next. It's really this mix of course, customer input. We have customers using the platform that are sharing feedback with us, and we're prioritizing that. But it's also this interesting dilemma in this space in particular, where the world is so nascent yet in terms of usage, and it's a lot of dreaming and visioning around the power of AI. We're certainly starting to see the reality of its impact, but it's still so early on. And so it reminds me of, I'm sure many people have heard or are familiar with that quote that's usually attributed to Steve Jobs. This is back in the early 2000s, where he said, it's not the customer's job to know what they want. And so the problem with asking, when you have this revolutionary technology that comes out, customers don't know what they don't know. And so you take their feedback and their inputs, but you have to balance that with you're living in it every day, all day. And so that's really what drove the Liminal Spaces refresh, which is both a UI update. So we have the advantage of our multi-model value proposition. It means that we're in different models all day long and looking at what everybody else is doing, and we can grab the best of what's out there and then create our experience on our platform to take advantage of that UI experience that is delightful across all these different models. But it's not just the UI, it's also some of the different user functions and tools that we're updating and have updated as well. We had launched search and scrape, so the ability to go out to the internet and search things in addition to taking advantage of the data within the model. There are new tools around things like, let's take advantage of the multi-model. You enter a prompt. What if you want to rerun it through another model, and just all the models you have access to are right there? Just click and run it through another model. See how it compares. Some prompt engineering suggestions on what you might want to ask next. So lots of really cool things beyond just the UI that really help the user experience. That I don't know that customers yet know how to ask for those things, but because we live in it all day, we know that this is going to be a delightful experience for them.
Yeah, I guess because, as you said, that it's such an emerging technology, you're almost having to lead the customer as much as the customer leading you on feedback, which is super interesting because it's a a new world we're going into with the AI part of security. So it's yeah, it sounds impressive what you've done so far. That's for sure. And how do you think this the business strategy you've just decided, how does that impact the company roadmap for you going forwards, do you think?
Yeah, it's such a balancing act where, feedback is still limited because mass adoption isn't out there. And so it's just learning every week through, different blogs and forums, and of course our own customers and talking to others in the industry. But the reality is it's still pretty limited. So I think, when we think about how we're going to drive the roadmap, there's a lot of show them that's involved. It's less ask them. It's a bit show them, let them react, and let that drive the feedback. And so an example of how we do that and how that's driven roadmap would be, for example, we use a tool called Figma. Our design team, our engineering team, other members of the team are very savvy with Figma as a tool. Super great tool for design if you're not familiar with it. And it allows you to, ahead of having your engineering team go build a bunch of things, it shows and allows them to click around and visualize the experience. And one example of how that worked really well, we had heard some feedback from a customer that was essentially indicating it would be very cool if I logged into Liminal Spaces and I saw my brand and my logo and my colors. And this was a larger enterprise. And so that feedback was really interesting to us, and we thought, wow, that is a really interesting way to help an enterprise organization adopt and feel like it's their platform. And as we were talking about it, there was this idea of, you know what, the channel and our partner teams probably would find some value in this too. Imagine if you were an MSSP and you had the ability to go to your customers and it showed your MSP company name and branding, and so this idea around, hey, I think there's kind of an OEM white label opportunity here. And, to make a long story short, it was through that show them, talk about it, show them in Figma before we went and built a bunch of things. But sure enough, there were several MSPs that were like, yes, this is amazing. This would be kind of the backbone of our offering. And that's really how our OEM white label program offering was born. So just one example. One other quick second example of customer feedback and sort of how that drives and how you think about solving a problem that a customer doesn't quite know how to articulate. Early on, our vision was that customers would bring their own models via their own API keys. They would pay the bill to the large language model provider, and we would be the platform that they would host on. That's still an option, and there are some customers that are doing that, but it became evident, oh wow, customers don't really know what models they want to use. And so this idea of there's a problem, customers keep asking us, which model should I use, rather than just sitting there and trying to advise them and tell them, what if we just took that decision, out of their hands and made it easy for them and just simply offered 4 or 5 of the top models? And so our pricing and packaging change, where we offer 5 of the top model providers, unlimited token access for a flat fee per user per month, was born. So those are the types of ways that we're using business strategy to go drive the way that our product roadmap shakes out.
Yeah, amazing. And I think that sort of communication you have with a customer shows just how good your relationship is with them. But it also shows that there's quite a lot of organic growth in the product there as well. It isn't you guys just going, well, this is what we like and this is what we're going to do. It's actually listening to that feedback during, demonstrations, during their user experience. So that's it's super interesting to hear how you guys have sort of taken the product and updated it and the user face and everything else based on sort of just organic conversations you've had with the customer, which is really, really, really cool to hear. So so I guess the next question then is you've updated the platform, you updated the user face. There's lots of things going on. You've launched this last week. Where do you see the platform going next? What's the next steps for the platform?
Yeah, we'll continue to use this balanced approach of the organic customer conversations and taking feedback and prioritizing it with that innovative drive to help a customer understand what they want and need, knowing that everyone's still learning and all this together. So an example of customer demand and customer feedback and what's being prioritized based on that, there's a bunch of really interesting RAG functionality coming into the platform. We could pull our CTO on here and spend a whole, probably hour talking about RAG. That's a big topic in the industry, but it essentially, in layman's term, it's the ability to retrieve and pull in, for example, internal data sources and mix that with the knowledge of the LLM. So document RAG, hooking into things like Google Workspace and SharePoint and Notion and all these other places to access data is in process and coming out. Some of the maybe you could say table stakes and natural progression would be things like our mobile application, some additional features around image and audio generation generation. So these are things that are out there and customers are talking about, and we're prioritizing things quickly to release either brand new or enhancements to areas like that. But we're also saying, listening to customers and hearing them talk about whether it's prospects or existing customers on the platform. And one of the interesting things that we're hearing is that there is this push to continuously show value of just generative AI. Forget Liminal as the platform right now. It's just, why should AI be a priority? We hear a lot about it, but is it driving business value? And so our CEO and CTO were brainstorming after a customer call and had this kind of light bulb moment of, what, there's all this data that sits within a customer's environment, right? They have all these prompts and all these logs of things that their users are doing. Sure, you could put it on the customer to go export that, make sense of it, run analysis of that, but wouldn't it be neat if AI did that for them? And we have the ability to do that, right? The platform, runs on AI. And so there is an insights engine being built and launched that is a tool that basically administrators can access that will give them all this rich data in ways that they can go proliferate and spread use cases across the organization. Did you know that this user is doing this and this might be beneficial for this team? Did you know that this user hasn't logged in a while? You may want to go understand, so just giving them the ability to have insights into their own usage and be able to drive better behavior from users and make it really valuable for them. So a couple of examples of customer feedback combined with helping customers understand and see the art of what's possible coming together that'll drive our roadmap over the next couple quarters.
Yeah, absolutely. It sounds unbelievably exciting, to be fair. It sounds like in the background you guys are doing like just so much in terms of development on what you guys do, and also I guess from a broader Gen AI perspective, with security always as an aspect behind that. It's not just liminal you're thinking of. It's actually kind of what does the world look like in a few years' time. So super innovative approach. And yeah, I love to hear about it. It sounds fantastic. So I think we'll leave it there for now. We do have another one to record. So excited to hear what we talk about on that one, and maybe we can discuss a little bit about how your customers have reacted to these updates and things like that. But I'm sure we'll work it out. So it's been fantastic speaking to you again, Michelle. It really has. Thank you for joining me. And yeah, until the next one.
Likewise. Thanks for having me.